Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another Inside Lowell podcast, my big fat Lowell podcast, a look at the world through a Lowell lens. I am your host, Teddy Panos, coming to you from the WellPoint Studios here in beautiful downtown Lowell. Unicare is now WellPoint. New name, same commitment to Massachusetts and to its members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. And we thank our friends at WellPoint for making this studio and this podcast possible. I want to thank all of our podcast sponsors, including the Washington Savings Bank. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, the newest member of the Inside Lowell family, from affordable to luxurious, apartments for all. Boston North Company, restaurant and retail solutions. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection since 1925. Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on for more than 4 decades. And last but not least, the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Tsongas Center in downtown Lowell. And it is time now to bring in my special guest for my Big Fat Lowell podcast, his first appearance on this particular series of podcasts at Inside Lowell. My former radio compatriot, the host of the Power Hour, and a number of other insane things that you do and we have done together. None other than Asa Stutz. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Am I filling in for Batch here? Is that what's happening?
No. You're part of the whole point of my Big Fat Lowell podcast was to bring in special people and talk about some serious things, some crazy things, Lowell things outside of Lowell that we can always relate to Lowell. Basically, it's just a chance for you and I to annoy people.
All right, we can do that.
And we
do that well.
We have a history of doing that. You joked before we hit the record button that you're not used to sitting on that side.
No. Yeah, no, this is different.
So I've never sat on that side either. So I'm more than willing to switch. I'll take the camera controls, and if you want to switch seats.
Next time.
Next time? Okay.
No, I meant more specifically this corner over here. Over there, it's nice.
You're
some
okay.
Space, some elbow room, but this is good.
And of course, you're also the king of. Oh, there's that. How did that camera freeze over there?
That's great.
The whiteboard, which we used on election night. I was adjusting some camera shots, and obviously, camera number 5 froze. Look at that face of Jesus! I look like Bugs Bunny over there. What the bleep? It's.
Can you make that for this episode?
The screensaver? Yeah, you know Gilly Mo's going to screenshot that one.
Bucktooth Teddy.
Holy moly. What the hell was I doing over there? But anyway, you are the king of the whiteboard, and you were the most famous use of the whiteboard since Tim Russert in 2000 was you on election night in 2023.
Might be pushing it a little, but how about in Lowell? Yes. In Lowell, yes.
Well,
what's going to happen? Well, you have election coverage coming up, right? Well, September primaries?
Yeah, we're going to use that whiteboard. We've also got some new computer graphics there. We used them for the Link project.
That's been on there for 2 months.
We can now use it. Well, I haven't used it since. We've had a picture of Judy Collins and that through that. So we've been able to use that, but we'll also be able to work that into our election coverage, which isn't far away. We're recording this on June 5th. Dude, it's like September 5th, I think.
It goes quick,
is the primary. We're 3 months away, right? The day after Labor Day.
Yep.
The main event for us is going to be the 18th Middlesex race. Ratty Mom, Tara Hong, Andrew Collar is out there. Or Kohler, I always miss. Sorry, Andrew, I apologize if I butchered your name. I'm pretty sure I did. But he's kind of the new face in this race, jumping into the rematch between Mom and Hong. I'm starting to see the signs.
He's the mustache guy, right?
He's the mustache. He's
very good interview.
He's got the little twirled mustache. I liked him. I got to tell you, that's a man after my own heart politically. He's not and he may be. He's way left of me, but he's not afraid to upset the apple cart.
Yeah, right.
You know that I like.
Nice. Actually, I went to go visit Ratty's office. I was in Boston on Monday. He's the only person I know. We went up there, but they weren't around.
I saw him yesterday. He actually stopped in for lunch, so we chatted for a few minutes. He's kind of like, I don't want to say matter of fact, but he's like, hey, I've got a 10-year record. I'm going to run on it, and we'll see. Whatever they say, they say.
It works,
In
right?
the primary.
That's what he does every 2 years.
Will he survive again? They keep running after him and keep surviving. Will this be the year they finally get him?
For Lowell, will the primaries be more interesting than the general? Just for Lowell.
Yeah, because I was thinking,
right?
like, the general election, what do we have? Everyone's going to be watching the presidential race. We'll have
congressional.
Can Carla Miller use, gun control, tightening of gun laws in Massachusetts, the migrant thing, and ADUs to put a dent in the new district there against Ed Kennedy, right? It now includes Drake-it and what?
Right.
Can she? Theoretically, yes. But Massachusetts,
right?
Will she?
Great Lowell.
We'll see. Well, the ballot question should be interesting, right? Auditor dsauglio's attempt to audit the legislature will be on the ballot. There should be some other things. The tipped wage thing, I think, is on there as well.
Who would vote no to that? Like a regular voter against dsauglio's?
A regular voter?
Just a normal person, not a...
I can't imagine.
Right. So that could overwhelmingly pass. And they probably still wouldn't do it, right?
And then they'll find some way to circumvent it.
Right.
What are the repercussions in Massachusetts? But I'll tell you what, if you look at every special election in Massachusetts, and there's been a couple of them for state rep or state senate since 2022's midterms, Republicans have fared pretty well. Now, they've been in districts where they have a chance, but there's some thought out there that they may be able to pick up a couple of Senate seats and a couple of more House seats under the right circumstances.
You keep hearing it.
You're shaking your head. No, huh?
Keep hearing it. Maybe they'll do slightly better, but is anything going to change?
Probably not. If I were a betting man, which I used to be,
you're
I'm not gonna.
If you're a conservative,
bet on it.
If you can pick up 2 seats, it's something. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. All the election dramas in your hood, New Hampshire.
Yes.
Where we've got
congressional race.
As we like to say,
bring it home.
My Big Fat Lowell podcast, a look at the world through a Lowell lens. There's a Lowell lens in the New Hampshire congressional race because my former co-host over at WCAP, and she's still there, at least in spirit until she officially declares her candidacy. But Casey Crane is one of, I believe, 3 Republicans
9
who has entered there's 9 Republicans in the race?
Yes.
For the congressional, United States congressional seat.
Yes.
How cool would it be?
It's funny, that was 8. Casey became the 9th.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if she'd officially announced or not. I'm confused by that. So she gave an interview to MUR.
She was interviewed for a story.
I'm expecting some big announcement.
They CG'd her, as they say in the TV business, where it says, the name Casey Crane, candidate for United States Congress.
Yeah.
And she's got a website. She's got social media pages. Imagine if she wins, we could say we have a Lowell connection besides Lori Trahan to the United States Congress. They could carpool together, share stories.
You might need to.
Together.
That tire's in rough shape.
So I can pretend I know something about New Hampshire politics, but you actually live in the state. So, how do you see that race breaking down? It's called a purple state, but let's be quite honest. That's been a blue state for a very long time now.
Oh, yeah.
Senate, Congress, presidential elections. The Republicans can win the governor's seat from time to time.
Yeah.
But kind of like Massachusetts.
Yeah, a good candidate.
They haven't won anything else. Is that different in 2024?
No, if you go back 10 years, Florida, let's just use Florida and New Hampshire. They were both complete toss-ups. Swing states, and they've gone in the complete opposite directions. Florida is just solid Republican now, and New Hampshire is pretty much solid Democrat. It's they always have the light blue and then the dark blue. Mass is dark blue. It's still probably light blue, but it's getting closer. But that's New Hampshire 2. There's only 2 congressional seats in the whole state. That's the one that always is going to lean more Democratic. So she'd have an uphill climb anyway.
But it's an open seat in a presidential year with the Joe Biden, Donald Trump dynamic.
It's a unique year.
If there's a chance for Republicans to finally break through again in New Hampshire, it's this one. Who are the Democratic candidates there? Because the reason that seat is open now is because Annie, is it Kuster or Custer it's pronounced, has decided no mas for her serving in the United States Congress. So it's now an open seat. Who are the candidates on the Democratic side?
Maggie Goodlander. You ever heard of her?
No.
She is the wife of Jake Sullivan. national security advisor, who is
swamp creature.
I mean, that's not good enough. Like, it's more than like a super swamp creature. Jake Sullivan is a legit guy. He's doing all the foreign policy right now. He's running the Ukraine war. He's running Israeli weapons.
He and Susan Rice are the ones running the country.
Yes.
Because we know it's not your guy.
I mean it. Like, Jake Sullivan is legitimately running the country more than anybody else.
All right, so for this guy,
foreign policy especially.
So for this guy to get to that level, he's been in D.C. for a very long time. I assume his wife has been with him. Why is she running for?
So the wife is
Congress
from. I believe she's from Nashua.
Okay.
They bought a place 6 or 7 years ago in Portsmouth, and I believe she just did the old carpetbagger routine, which we saw with the Lori Trahan race. She just rented an apartment in Nashua. So she's got the residency. She's been lining it up.
Portsmouth is the other district up there, the Chris Pappas district.
That's
and
New
he's
Hampshire
seeking
one.
re-election. Okay.
Exactly. So this is the open seat.
So she got an apartment in Nashua.
Her resume.
But by the way, can we clarify? Lori Trahan did not get an apartment.
No, sorry.
Lori Trahan stayed in Westford. There was about 5 other candidates who suddenly loved living in downtown Lowell.
Who was the
How
guy?
many of them still live in downtown Lowell, by the way?
Who was the ambassador guy? He was the best.
Oh, drawing a blank on him.
You had him on the radio.
Yes. Oh, God, yeah.
There's a bunch. There was Bij Das. There was
multiple ones.
I don't think any of them lived in Lowell. Besides Lori Trahan, she's still in the district in Westford. But yes, he was my favorite just because, man, I just love living here.
So I'm going to Google search him while you break down the Democratic race.
He hasn't spent one night of his life in Lowell. Oh, so yeah, her resume, she worked as a special assistant to Hillary Clinton. She was a clerk for Stephen Breyer at the Supreme Court. She's the ultimate swamp creature. Like, she is connected. 10 years ago, you would have said this lady has an incredible resume, which she does, but the mood of the country is a little bit different right now. So if you're a Democrat, you're going to look at her resume and go, man, she's got super powerful candidate coming out of nowhere. So she's got to be the heavy favorite.
Okay. Any of the Republicans have a chance? Does Casey Crane have a chance to emerge?
Well, one of them's got to win. One of them's got to win the primary.
Right.
So there's not one really sticking out. Casey, I'm sure, is an underdog. She wouldn't.
She did serve in the state house along with 400 other people out of Nashua back in the day.
I think of the 9 people running, she's the only one that's actually been elected in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of actual carpetbaggers on that side too. They just don't come with the same resume as her.
Right. I've actually talked to her about it. She says the two front runners on the Republican side are both basically carpetbaggers.
Right.
Seat shopping is how she kind of worded it.
We'll see. She's got an uphill climb, but someone's going to have to win it. She'll have that.
We're rooting for her, though, right?
Of course,
we always want the Lowell connection. We're looking at the world through a Lowell lens.
I know there's people that listen to Casey on the radio and with you that probably drive you nuts sometimes, some people, but her politics and her ideas, they're not too far off from mine.
I'm not going to say I disagree with her.
Yeah.
Especially on the congressional level stuff. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But there's your little. You want the world news or with the Lowell connection? There it is.
So you're registered to vote up there?
Yes.
Do you get to pick which primary you're going to vote in? Are you unenrolled?
Yes.
Okay. So what you see yourself picking a Republican ballot, and that's the competitive race?
If you want me to do that, I will.
All right.
You want me to vote for Casey?
I want you to, because I can't, so I want you to vote for Casey Crane. I mean, I could hop one of those buses that they send to the college campuses.
Yeah, then you get to drive to Lawrence, get on the bus, the whole thing.
I can register. I'll use your address. I'll say I moved in with you.
I will vote.
I moved in with you, and I can vote for you. Right? Same day registration still in effect in New Hampshire, right?
Casey winning the primary head-to-head against this woman. You know what? All right, you've convinced me.
All right.
Formally endorsed.
There you go.
You told me this a year ago.
Casey Crane, I just got you a vote. Who knows how much influence you? I mean, you have a household, right? You can.
Yes.
You've got a wife. None of your kids are old enough.
17.
We can get them fake
close.
IDs.
17-year-old.
Let's get them fake IDs.
They've already got them.
Can we bust a couple of illegals up there as well and register them? We can.
Go down to the Inn and Conference Center?
Yeah, or wherever. We go to Chelmsford where they just arrested one for, the typical crime, sexual assault on a minor.
Yeah.
The former Best Western in Chelmsford. They just arrested somebody who Maine apparently kicked out of the hotel there for some type of behavior, and they just sent them down to Massachusetts.
I must say, Lowell's been a bit lucky with this. Just some of it's Right. You have
Knock on that wood.
You have individuals. You don't know who the hell these people are, but it seems like Lowell got more of the family and kid group than military age men.
Knock on the
like you
wood,
look at New York
buddy.
City, they get the military age men and they're shooting cops and
the
it's
invaders.
Yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, hopefully Lowell just sticks with the families and there's that.
All right, we're gonna save the real Lowell angle for last, and that was last night's very kind of fascinating, though not as contentious as I would have thought, budget hearing. But there are a couple of other things that I want to talk to you about. First off, you were known in your radio days for you find a topic that you connect with for whatever reason, and then you become like
bludgeon you to death with it.
You were like the Middle East. You were like my Middle East expert. If I had a question about something going on in the Middle East, I'd come to you, and you were always ahead of time. Anyone who watches the Power Hour here on InsideLowell knows that you have predicted things about what's happening in Ukraine, which most mainstream media here in America doesn't even talk about anymore. But you've
gotten some wrong, but
you're
gotten some
giving
right.
us updates, and you've predicted a number of things that have happened. Your latest pet project is Free Karen Reed.
No, that's
you've been watching that trial.
I am not. That's not a pet project, but I am like millions of people.
You are the Lowell Turtle Boy.
No, I am not. Absolutely not. I am literally just watching it and soaking it in. And this is the craziest trial. This is crazier than the OJ trial. Like, this woman is getting framed for murder, like by powerful people. It's wild.
All right, so I'm of that bent. I can't say I followed the trial religiously. I've read a lot of the stuff, a lot of it coming from Turtle Boy, obviously, in the beginning.
No, he started. He lit this match.
You're getting a bent.
He gave it media attention.
Right.
Then coming into it, which is important, then you've got some momentum and you've got some interest. And as you watch the court happen, and it's like, whoa, this is really...
I watched a couple of the days of testimony with the McCabe's and the Higgins, and I was confused because I thought the prosecution had already rested and the defense was on the stand. They're literally trying to defend the people in the house who are not accused of murder. I have not heard anybody... They're, a month into this trial, nobody has come forward and said that Officer John O'Keefe died and the cause of death was he got hit by a car, which is the prosecution's theory. I have not heard one bit of evidence presented as that. I have not heard one forensic expert say that happened, and they've had forensic experts, mass crime lab and whatnot, state police crime lab, testify. So I'm like, this is a frame job, but also a cover-up for whoever really killed the woman, it appears. And here's my main issue with this. This is deep. If this is indeed a cover-up, as most people think it is, and a frame job, there's a lot of levels involved. Deep. Canton police, state police, prosecutor, district attorneys,
ATF agent.
Exactly. I mean, an ATF agent who took evidence, destroyed it, but he took it to a military base.
Yes, he just happened to be passing by. As he was passing by the military base, he decided to take out his SIM card and chop it in half and throw it in a dumpster, and then take a cell phone and throw it in a different dumpster. We've all done that.
A phone that the next day they all received orders they needed to keep. So they got tipped off by somebody, get rid of your phone because the order is coming.
September 29th of, I believe, last year. Could have been 2022, but September 29th, he destroys his phone. September 30th, he gets the notice from the state, preserve all evidence. The week before that, Brian Albert, the owner of the house where this crime either took place inside or outside, he got the same notice on the 24th. He just happened to get a new phone and destroyed his on the 23rd. It's unbelievable. You want the craziest? It's too much to get into. We'll do the whole show on it.
If you made this as a movie, it would be like
it's going to be a movie.
But it would be a parody. The actual facts of this case are like a parody of a bad movie cover-up.
It is, and you're going to think the actors are bad because there's going to be the defense attorney, and then there's going to be the assistant DA who's prosecuting the case, Lally. This is the biggest mismatch I've ever seen. Like, Lally is... Not very good at his job.
No relation to the Lowell Lalleys, either Peter Lally from Spectacle and the Auditorium or Michael Lally, who sings.
I don't know that.
And
I don't know.
Cemetery
But this guy is just so boring and bland. He knows he's got the worst case ever. He's got to try. He is the worst. And on the defense side, there's attorney Yannetti, who's very good. And then there's Alan Jackson, who's probably the best lawyer I've ever seen. He's unbelievable. So forget about all the proof and the evidence and everything else. You've got the 92 Dream Team versus, was it Angola, what they played? Or, it's the biggest mismatch. You're going to watch the Netflix
You have Marcia Clark versus Johnny Cochran
yes,
and,
yeah.
and Alan Dershowitz.
Yes, Chris Darden versus Johnny. Yeah. And you're going to watch it and like, oh, this is fake. And it's like, no, this is real. It's amazing. Just picture this. Of the 4, say there was a conspiracy, allegedly. If there was, there would be 4. There's a number of people, but 4 people really involved at the moment. There should have been, according to the state, Officer O'Keefe dies at 12:30. They find him at 5:30, roughly, something like that. There should be nothing in between because she killed him and no one knew she hit him, right? Between the 4 people involved, 3 have a combined 11 different butt dials, all in that time frame, all calling only each other by mistake. It's like, oh, sure. Just that alone. What are the odds of that happening?
And besides the
billion to 1?
Besides the cell phones disappearing, also security camera footage from completely independent places
3
has had missing gaps, which would have corresponded with the time Karen Reed's vehicle, the one she allegedly hit her boyfriend with, drove by the location where those cameras are, so you could see one way or another if her taillight was intact.
There's 3 key moments for the videos. There's the crime scene. Across the street is a cop's house. He has a Ring camera facing right at the murder scene, allegedly. That just didn't work. We lost that.
It happens.
Tough break.
Coincidence. Snowstorm, you know how the internet cuts in and out.
Yeah.
You know how rough it is.
Canton Town Library has a motion censored camera. And so when a car drives by, it triggers it. 3 minutes is missing. Luckily, right when Karen Reed drives
The
by.
minutes where her car likely would have driven by.
And you could see her taillight, whether it was intact or not. Again, real weird coincidence. And then there's the actual police station pulling into the Sallyport garage. 10 minutes just vanished. Right when she pulls in, when you can see, okay, is her taillight intact? It's not there. It's like, at this point, this trial is like Epstein's murder. It's like the magic bullet in JFK. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really, you have to defy reality to think that she's guilty.
You have to suspend all belief.
You do. And people do. It's weird.
And if I'm not mistaken, the people investigating this case who are accused of trying to help cover up for their cop friends who were inside that house.
Yes.
And the defense theory is one of them was involved in either the murder or the cover-up. They were the investigators on this case who would have gone and sought that footage that was somehow missing the key.
The name you keep hearing
right?
is Michael Proctor, state police investigator. Canton's doesn't do murder investigations. They don't have many, so they bring in the state police. A lot of towns do that. He's got deep ties to this whole crew. Like one of the kids, the young kid, did you see him?
Yeah, Colin Albert.
Yes. They have pictures of Proctor, the lead investigator, and the kid is like a ring bearer at the wedding at the front. It's like the whole thing is filthy. Proctor is the lead investigator of the murder. In every trial you see, you start by bringing out the lead investigator to say, like you started, what happened, why did it happen, where did, like, lay out the case, and then you give all the proof. They still haven't called him yet, and they're not going to, and they can't, because he'll be the only investigator that has to plead the fifth for the state. Like it's the whole thing. Like you said, it's bizarre. They're trying to prove that everyone in the house is innocent. They are. They've gone a week once. I didn't even mention Karen Reed once. It was just about everyone in the house trying to clear them. And it's like, people are watching it saying, I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. You're right. It doesn't make sense to anyone. So everyone needs to watch it. YouTube is the best.
So before the trial started and I started getting some updates from you, I held out the possibility that, look, I don't want to believe that law enforcement and the prosecutor's office can be this corrupt, because this level of a cover-up and how many different people would have to be involved speaks of a corruption that's unthinkable and should be unthinkable to anybody in this country. And it would have to include, the way I thought, the judge, who has been criticized for some of her rulings and who, quite frankly, if what you're saying is true and the things that I've watched are true, there is no way on God's green earth this judge shouldn't have already tossed this case. This thing should never have come to trial. The judge should have never let it go that far, and she should probably act like a good boxing trainer and throw in the towel on the prosecution right now before they get anybody else in trouble, because they are giving sworn testimony.
Oh, yeah.
Which can and will be used against them.
A whole lot of perjury happening.
Federal investigation that we know about. So here's my theory. Is it true? The judge knows this is BS, and she's going to toss it. And the only reason this case has gone forward is it's because the only way you're going to be able to get sworn testimony from these folks and figure out. I think investigators know that somebody in the house did it, but they can't pinpoint who and specifically how quite yet. If they get all of them to perjure themselves and now threaten 5-6 people with jail time for perjury,
someone will flip.
Somebody will flip. Somebody will develop a conscience at some point, right? And not want to, and
Yep.
okay, you're not going to jail for perjury. You're not going to be charged with an accessory to murder or cover up, blah, blah, blah. Yep. But you need to flip.
But
does my theory carry any weight?
When does she toss it? Are you saying right now? Because easily anyone watching this, any reasonable person watching this could say, just throw it out right now. But you kind of have to let the state go through their entire, so they have to do the whole case. They're probably 3/4 of the way through their witnesses. So once the state rests, then for sure the defense is going to file a motion to just dismiss it.
Are they? Or do they smell blood and they're going?
Well, no, dismiss ends it right there. I see what you're saying.
They have to ask for it to be dismissed.
Oh, yeah, no, and the judge would approve to answer your question. So the judge would then have to say, this is a joke, we're done here, which she could do.
If she doesn't do that, she's clearly working with the feds to elicit sworn testimony. She can't be that correct.
I don't know.
I refuse to believe she's in on it.
But you kind of just threw that in there. For anybody that doesn't know, the FBI has an open investigation of the investigators. So all of the cops that brought these charges, the local Canton police, the ATF agent, the state police that have charged her, they're all getting pulled into grand juries by the FBI, giving sworn statements there, which they give to the defense, the FBI. Sure. So the defense knows what to ask because they already have the records from the grand jury. But the judge doesn't allow them to mention it in this trial, so they have to say at a different hearing, at a different time, you answered this. So it's bizarre.
So I thought they were talking about the legal proceedings leading up to this.
No, that's the FBI grand jury.
FBI grand jury with it. Okay.
Yes, and they've all give sworn statements, so they can't switch. They can't change their stories. So if the defense catches them in a lie, they're in a tough spot.
All right. Now, and mind you, for anybody out there, because I like a good conspiracy. Asa is known to like a good conspiracy. For anybody who's thinking we're letting our conspiratorial minds get the best of us, no, there is like cell phone data where these people have given sworn testimony. Oh no, I wasn't there at this time. I was here at this time, or I didn't text so-and-so at this time. They've got their phone records from whatever wasn't destroyed, and there's enough proof there. And literally some of the witnesses on the stand. Who was the one with the long face there? She was very sad.
Oh,
that one's for you, Gilly.
Jen McCabe?
Jen McCabe was like, no, that's not true. The phone data is wrong.
Oh, yeah. No, she texted 2:27 in the morning. Yeah. How long to die in the cold? Yeah. When she's supposed to be asleep and none of this had happened. I was like, yeah, okay.
I mean, it's really bad.
I'm so past it. Just the innocent and guilty. Like, I will 1,000,000% guarantee she gets found not guilty unless it gets dropped. There's no chance.
It has to be.
The interesting part is the FBI part. How or why did the FBI start investigating the investigators? There's theories there. Did someone flip? A lot of people thought maybe it was the ATF guy, but he took the stand and it's not him. He didn't flip.
No, he stuck to the.
Did someone in the house that saw something flip? But no, the whole house is accounted for. There's a good chance that all these texts and calls at 2, 3 in the morning, they might have gone right into a wiretap by mistake of a different investigation. FBI's following a cop. They were already
looking at these guys from
yes, and they murder cover up that just falls right in their lap. That's just a theory.
Okay,
when it goes back,
I like it.
I'll give you more. There was a young woman that died by suicide named Sandra Birchmore. She was pregnant with allegedly a cop's kid. Kirk Minahan did a podcast on this. It's good, but it's informative. But she died by suicide. They show footage. The last person to see her is this cop. I think they're Stoughton cops. But it's very suspicious. The FBI, a year ago, well, a couple of years ago, opened an investigation into this. And where she died, she lived in Stoughton. She moved to Canton. So some of these same cops were involved in that crime scene of this girl who allegedly something may have happened with a cop. So there's a chance that the FBI investigating that young woman's death stumbles into this theory. Who knows? If that's the case, you've got a whole nother crazy layer of this thing. A different cop in a different town murdering somebody.
I like it.
It's all theories, but yeah,
I like it.
Anyone who, if you haven't paid attention, there's time. Just go on YouTube. You can rewind, fast forward. Just when the prosecution's speaking, you just fast forward the entire thing. The guy is the most boring lawyer I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, but we all know if they ever walk into our bar, besides asking them why the long face, we don't have to ask them what they're going to drink because we know what they all like to drink.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Who was the guy that drank his vodka, but he would put what's that little diet?
Oh, yeah.
He'd bring his own diet mix
may have been
into it.
Albert
Neutralite or whatever.
Yeah. They were on a weight loss competition.
This guy was a cop. And he used to bring his own Neutralite to the...
It's wild.
Crazy.
Good stuff. Again, no, I'm not an expert or anything like. I just, like everyone else, I am sucked in. And it is the best show on TV. It's great.
It's
horrible that a cop died, but
I don't want to believe that there's this much corruption because then it starts making me look around and questioning.
Oh, it's going to be bad.
It can't happen in Lowell.
It's going to be.
Can it happen in Lowell?
Of course it could.
No.
Of course.
No. I know a lot of Lowell police officers. Somebody would come forward and be honest. You can't keep any secret in Lowell.
That's fair.
Cannot keep a secret in Lowell. Somebody would talk to me, to Nutter, to the Lowell Sun, to whatever. We'd know if these were Lowell cops, we would know what happened that night. I'm thoroughly convinced.
I will give our Lowell people the credit. Yes.
All right.
I was going with the theory it could happen anywhere.
Could the Wuhan virus happen in Lowell?
Oh yeah.
And by Wuhan virus, I mean Michelle Wu, the Boston mayor, who apparently wants to decriminalize, let me read my list here: shoplifting, disorderly conduct, receiving of stolen property, driving with suspended license, among other that are currently treated as serious offenses. And as you correctly pointed out in one of our discussions, she's probably the most rational person in Boston government because the city council is, as a whole, is even more insane than she is.
They're nuts. I mean, there's a couple of the old timers that are old school Democrats that are a little bit more rational, but the Boston City Council as a large, they're insane. I forget the woman's name, but there's the most recent woman on there. She's crazy. Like, there's people like terrified of her on the council. They're afraid like she's gonna like beat them up and stuff.
Yeah, she's basically, well, she hasn't threatened to, but she might have actually.
I'm not sure, but yeah, I thought we were past this. This is that 2020 George Soros DAs. You know, that's that crap. I thought we'd move past that. For her to just...
She must be feeling the heat politically.
From who?
Well, I mean, she's ticked off the North End. She's ticked off a bunch of other people and developers, money people. She's...
Right. You're saying it's the complete opposite. She's tough on crime. Well, the North End is more conservative.
She's going to her base.
Oh, yeah?
She's trying to play more. She's afraid she's going to get taken out from within. She's not going to get taken out by a Republican-leaning Boston mayor or conservative-leaning. It would more be a Democratic.
When we heard these things, though, 4 years ago, you thought it was a joke. And then you look at San Francisco and Philadelphia and these cities, you're like, oh, my God, this is real. These district attorneys.
It's not a joke.
They're actually more dangerous than...
Right.
In Canton.
Exactly. Which, by the way, begs the question with me. Where's the Massachusetts legislature in this particular case with Michelle Wu and others who have basically said, we're not prosecuting these crimes? Last I checked, we have a system, right?
I thought
we have a federal constitution and a state constitution. And as part of that, legislative bodies get to enact laws that are then approved by the executive branch, and then they have to pass muster with the judicial branch.
Sure.
But all these laws, things such as shoplifting, things such as disorderly conduct, whether they're at the federal level, federal crimes or state crimes, how does a prosecutor get to decide, I'm not prosecuting these? Did it pass the legislative process?
No, that's the end around. That's the way around it.
We want to talk about insurrections, right? I mean, these people are refusing to follow the constitutional process of the United States of America, which is the legislature passes laws, and laws have determined that certain crimes are crimes.
Right.
And they have penalty guidelines, and then the judges act on those, and then the appellate and Supreme Court judges rule on whether all this passes constitutional muster. How does the mayor of Boston or the Boston City Council get to determine these aren't crimes without being charged themselves for disobeying? They take an oath to uphold the laws, right?
Oh, she doesn't actually do it, and she doesn't actually come out and say it. They just implement it. And then if the DA doesn't charge anybody, like you said, you can say, hey, I'm on the ballot. I'll vote for me or whatever. And all of them are on the ballot, and they'll all win.
But these DAs aren't doing it. It's one thing to just behind the scenes. Oh, we're tough on crime.
Are the DAs and mass on the ballot? Actually, I'm not sure about that.
No. No.
Okay, the states they are. Sorry, I want to get that right.
Well, actually, no. Yes, they are. They are. Marion Ryan, I think, has run.
Yeah.
They are. The federal level.
I don't want to be wrong. Has some different states, different rules.
But the DAs could secretly do it behind the scene. The underlings bring a case. The police bring, we're not prosecuting. Screw that.
Yeah, no.
We can't find enough.
That's how it starts. And if you're a cop, but you're going to keep arresting somebody for a crime you know they're never going to be charged
But it's not just starting like that. They're actually coming out and saying, I'm not going to prosecute this. If elected, I'm not going to prosecute this. So they're telling, Rachel Rollins told you, if you're not prosecuting this.
If you're a cop and there's some dirty, psycho, homeless guy, right? Just literally like a filthy person, dirty, doing whatever, public urinating. And you know, if you arrest this guy, nothing's going to happen. It's like, are you going to go do that? It's like 2 PM on a nice, beautiful day in Boston. I'm like, I'm just not going to enforce that. I'm not going to go approach this guy. And then your city goes to hell, which is what happened in San Francisco. And that's what will happen here. It's crazy, though. I thought we got past
But
that.
it won't happen in Lowell. It can't happen in Lowell.
That won't happen in Lowell.
We've pushed back against a lot of these things. I have faith in
that
this
will
city.
not happen in Lowell, for sure.
All right. You're watching my Big Fat Lowell podcast, a look at the world through a Lowell lens. I am your host, Teddy Panos, joined by our buddy Asa Stutz. I didn't wait long enough to give you the Coca-Cola sip.
I know, that was a quick...
You can put it on top of the table, by the way. It's like, I got wine shows in here. You're worried about a can of Coca-Cola?
They got to pay for it.
All right. Asa Stutz is joining us here in the WellPoint studios. Unicare is now WellPoint, new name, same commitment to Massachusetts and to its members. Let's get to the main event. By the way, the name of the gentleman I made a note, Rufus Gifford.
Yes. He loved Lowell.
Didn't he get another ambassadorship under President Biden?
Yes. He went somewhere else.
He's anywhere but the 3rd district. Because God forbid someone move.
You had to interview these people, like sit there and just have them talk glowingly about the Owl Diner and nothing else, because that's the only place they've ever been to.
I don't think he liked me very much, and it had nothing to do with the radio interview.
Oh, really?
I think it had to do with the year I had to MC the Megan House golf tournament, and he was in attendance, and I was doing I had to fill in on the auction, and I kind of looked in his direction. I'm like, you got a bunch of money in your campaign account. Why don't you bids?
Yes.
So
you're just doing your job right
A lot of people in the room laughed. He didn't laugh, so I'm not sure Ambassador Gifford likes me.
You know what? Then he's not made for this place.
Exactly. I liked Frank Gifford better anyway.
Go back to Europe.
So we're recording this Wednesday, June 5th. Tuesday, June 4th, Lowell City Council passed the budget by a 10-1 vote, a surprising 1 vote.
Never get you, right?
No.
Come on.
No. Wasn't guess again.
I just lost money.
Guess again.
Well, he was 1,000-1 favorite.
To be the one to vote no on the budget.
It must have been Corey Robinson.
No. Strike 2. 0 for 2.
Rita.
No. 0 for 3.
Don't tell me it was Wayne Jeunesse.
It was Wayne Jeunesse. Yeah, Wayne Jeunesse was the 1 no vote, but I did speak to Wayne Jeunesse because there was some speculation. I was listening this morning on the radio. I'm like, why did Wayne vote no on the budget? Because I listened to most of it, and he wasn't really pushing back on a lot of the stuff, right?
I thought it was a mistake. I think the clerk thought it was a mistake. The clerk's like, you sure? He doesn't usually do that.
So you thought it was a mistake. So
for sure.
WCAP this morning, they were saying, I think it was a mistake. So I texted him. I'm like, hey, Wayne, you voted no, right? Was that intentional or accidental? And he said to me, and by the way, the story is on InsideLowell.com. Just go to it right now. He said it was 100% not accidental. He goes, I voted no. And he goes, I voted no because the process. He goes, we got an amended budget at 4 p.m., which is true. Somebody leaked the email that was sent to the councilors. And I looked at it, I'm like, Tom Golden caved on the trash fees. But the city council got this, and it was announced to them that they.
So did they get
that we're reducing the trash fee, and there's $1.7 million in cuts that we found across all departments, and we'll explain in detail tonight at the council meeting. So Wayne Jeunesse is saying, listen, we don't have enough time to look at it.
It's like Congress, when they have a 5,000-page bill and you have 10 minutes to read it. I get that aspect of it.
Which the follow-up question is why, then why did you vote against Eric Gitcher when he proposed we postpone for the same reason? Eric Gitcher said, let's postpone the meeting till Saturday so we have a chance to look at it. He goes, I didn't think it was fair to the department heads who were all there, plus the members of the public who were there and had participated. So
there weren't any.
And then he
I'm sorry, there weren't any willing to speak.
Well, yeah, to bring up a bicycle question or whatever, a million people.
I don't want to derail you, but Rita's like, let's just let the people speak. Okay.
Okay.
That's that.
That portion of the meeting is closed. The public hearing is closed. But he did say, Councilor Jeunesse did say, I was pretty sure the budget was going to pass anyway. I'm paraphrasing him, but you can see the exact quote. InsideLowell.com posted that story today. He said, if we needed the vote to pass the budget, I would have changed my vote, which means
ceremonial
that he actually liked the budget, and he didn't really tear the budget apart, but
people had a lot of questions.
All right, so let me ask this: should the manager have given the council more of a courtesy than waiting till 4 o'clock to tell them?
So here's my question: you might know the answer. There's the budget, whatever it was. Say it's 300 pages. Did they get? Here's 2 pages. Here you go.
You can hold that up. That's our sponsor read, by the way.
Oh, good.
We love to give those. If people can read that, that's more love to them.
Here's your amended.
Yeah.
No.
You even got the line through the middle of it. Yep.
So did he say, there's the budget, which you saw and you've previewed, you all know about. Here are 2 pages of switches that we've made and cuts we've made to these departments to lower the trash fee. Was it something like that, or was it just, here's the whole thing?
No, I think at least what I was sent was the little note with where the 1.7 million
little separate thing, like what we're doing.
And then they got the budget on their desk.
That's not bad.
At the meeting.
It's not great to do it like that, but
as Councilor Gitcher said, look, I'm just flying back from North Carolina. I haven't had a chance to look at this. And you can accuse anybody of not reading an entire budget.
Oh, no, he read.
He went through it with a fine-tooth comb over the last 2 weeks. And look, kudos to the manager for listening to the count. There was a lot of pushback from the public. There was a lot of pushback from the councilors who have to rely on the public for votes. Sure. So, I don't want to dump on the manager for caving, although I will. And I'm recording a podcast with him tomorrow, by the way. I'm going to ask why. I thought he shouldn't have caved. I think he made a mistake.
I'll
tell you why in a second. But
disagree.
He had to have known he was going to change this. He didn't just wake up Tuesday morning, talk to Connor Baldwin and the department heads and say, we can do this. He could have at least said to them, look, guys, I'm working on it. I've heard you. We're going to reduce the trash fee. It won't be as drastic of an increase. We're going to find the cuts to balance the budget, and we'll give them to you when it comes time. From my information, that didn't even happen. And I'll ask the manager about that because I think that's important.
Yep.
But from my info, he didn't even do that. He kind of sprung it on him at 4 o'clock.
I think he just had enough. He's like, this Jerry Nutter's killing me on the radio here. We got to do something about this.
The trash.
Yes, right. He's rallying the people.
Or he figured, all right,
I'm giving Nutter a piece of that credit there.
I'll listen to the criticism for 2 hours on Tuesday night, but I'm not listening for 2 weeks leading up to Tuesday night. He shouldn't have caved.
Look, it was too much. It's high.
No, hey.
I know you have to do it.
So look, first of all,
I think the compromise is good.
They're all subsidizing it. It's not like the costs of trash removal went down. He just, instead of paying it through your trash fee as the user, right? Those of you who have trash, it's going into the general fund where you're still paying for it, but you're sharing the cost with other people in the city who, by the way, don't get trash pickup. Commercial properties don't get trash pickup. Large apartment buildings, the 2 new towers in Hamilton Canal, the artist lofts in Hamilton Canal, the apartment buildings up in the Highlands.
It's all private?
Those have to all privately dispose of their trash. Commercials and businesses don't get trash pickup from the city. We have to pay. And I'm going to tell you, I pay $448 a month for my dumpster, which is a month.
Really?
Yes, which is more than any resident in Lowell would have paid for the full year, even with the $425. So, yeah, congratulations to those who saved on the trash fee, but you didn't really save all of it because you're still paying for a chunk of it, and you pawned it off on people who now still have to pay that cost anyway. So this discussion last night of, well, the apartment holders get enough money, the apartment owners of the building owners get enough money anyway. Sure. Yep, they do. But they're already paying for waste disposal that they're charging the residents for. And now they're going to charge the residents for the hike in the rest of it as well in the property tax base. It's a pay as you use, pay as you toss. And they talked about it last night. They talked about early in the meeting, the manager kind of discussed it, we'll go to a we'll explore a pay-as-you-toss system, which many communities do. Worcester does it.
We love Worcester.
Right. But, well, as we aspire to be, we should aspire to be Worcester rather than Cambridge.
Our charter is Worcester. Yeah. This rule is Worcester. Our elections, Worcester.
But I was disappointed in the manager for caving. I'm going to tell you so tomorrow when you come in here.
He still raised it, though.
Of course he did. By $100 instead of the $200.
My biggest fear is that would have got passed on to the renters, which is the majority of the people in the city. You jack up the trash fee on the renters, on the apartment owners, they're going to hit the people. The small unit apartments, the large unit apartments, it wouldn't have been affecting them because they wouldn't pay the user fee. So what's
the
difference there? Is it 2, 4, 8, 10?
I'm going to ask this tomorrow.
Okay.
I will ask this.
That's my first thought was that
these answers, but
people are just getting screwed on rent.
Councilor Janess brought it up last night. Goes, my downtown residents, they don't get trash pickup.
Yeah.
They have to.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think too much about it.
They have to pay for it, so on their own. So why are they subsidizing whatever? And that, by the way, that goes for recycling. I wrote a column again, InsideLowell.com. You can see it on recycling costs.
Oh, really?
Sometimes I hit the wrong camera.
I missed that.
But it basically said Pensacola, Florida. I was just popped up in my Twitter feed. Pensacola, Florida was bringing back recycling, which first of all was great because they did away with recycling because recycling is more expensive to handle now than waste, which was a complete bait and switch from what we were sold 15 years ago.
We were going to make money, right?
We were going to make money. Everybody wanted our junk. It's still trash, right? Just like my dirty underwear that we now have to recycle as well. For textiles. It's textiles.
Oh, that's right. I remember that a couple of years ago.
It's the fancy word for my dirty underwear and socks, textiles. But
Gunther yelling at Teddy about his dirty underwear in the trash.
Recycling.
The glory days.
And yard waste pickup. Why am I subsidized? Why is somebody who lives on Broadway Street? You grew up in the Acre, right? Did you have a lawn?
No, come on.
Did you have yard clippings? Did you?
We had the Bartlett, North Common.
Yeah.
All right. Nice lawn.
Why should you pay for weekly yard waste service for the guy with a nice lawn who owns an acre of land?
Fair. All right. Now you speak my language.
Right. So, I mean, it's something to look at.
Yeah.
You want weekly yard waste? Opt into it. There are some communities that have you where they have multiple companies vie for your service to pick up your trash. They'll give you different colored bins so their drivers know who to pick up and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they compete against each other.
That's good.
Maybe you can get competitive pricing. But do the same on recycling. Do the same on yard waste.
How serious are they taking it at City Hall? He said he'd investigate it. Does it sound like he's further along, or just get you off his back?
I hope so. I'm going to guess if he was using me as impetus to look at that, he's in trouble. But it was, I thought he shouldn't have caved.
Eric Gitchier brought up a good point.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
It's going to get too deep into the middle of this right off the bat. But with the free cash, or what do they call it? They don't like the word free cash, right? I forget what it is.
Rainy day fund.
Rainy day fund. He said we used money last year from that. We had extra to pay for it. His point was a pretty fair one, and I think him and Connor Baldwin were kind of going at it a little bit. For this individual battle, I thought Gitchier was right to ask the question, if we have all this extra money, why don't we just budget to use it?
Because
I know that I didn't go. Baldwin made a good point. You have to be conservative. You've got to be conservative.
And also the rating agencies.
Yes.
The bond agencies.
And he wants it certified.
Right.
I get that. But
so if you go up or down a letter or a plus or a minus on your bond rating, so if you're at AA plus as opposed to AA,
it's crazy.
You're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of higher payments.
It's millions.
On any bonds or loans that you've taken. So yeah, great. We saved $30,000 in the trash fee. We took it off them, but we're going to pay it in higher interest on the high school project, on all these other projects.
Bernie Lynch, he pounded it in our head.
I don't like it.
No,
but
Bernie Lynch
as long as the rules are this way, then you got to live with
the spirit of what Eric was saying. I agree with the spirit.
Of course.
You've got extra money. Why not use it?
A rainy day fund, if it's raining and you're not going to use it, what's the point of having a rainy day fund? Except they want you to have it, or else you're going to get penalized for it. So
they're kind of both right in that scenario. Connor Baldwin's definitely right. The budget and the rating agency and getting it certified by the state. But I think Gitschier's like, there's some money to pay for this. We don't have to stick it all on the people. So I don't know. I thought it was a fair question.
What else jumped out at you from the budget meeting?
It was
last night.
It was. I've seen boringer. Is that a word?
I'm surprised at how quickly it went. They were done by what, 9:15, 9:17?
Yeah. I was watching on YouTube again, which is great because you can pause it and go back. When I saw that like the timer had stopped going, I'm like, oh, this is really gonna be over in like 33 minutes. Great.
Yeah, kudos to your cousin, Mayor Rourke, by the way, for speeding up.
Yeah, he moved
process.
along. At first, it seemed a little. There was gonna be some confusion, but they settled that. Rita. That's why it's great to have Rita there. She's done what? 26 of these, maybe more. She's creeping on 30, right?
Well, there was a lot of folks said to me they were really confused over things last night, and they were. But that happens. That happens every budget because people make ideas, people start discussing a substitute, and before you know it, you've lost track of what you're actually voting.
Right. I think they lost
time to vote.
I'm pretty sure there's a couple departments that they just never voted on. They're like, okay, yeah, whatever, good, done by. But Rita knows what she's doing. Like, okay, let's go department by department. And that was right. She was right to do it. Now, the only confusion was like the opening statements, kind of the non-important stuff, more the political stuff. But no, I thought the way Rita set it up and the way Danny did it was as good as it's going to be. It's always going to be a battle. You know, Eric Gitchier is going to push back and try to save money for the people. You know, everyone has pet things that they like or hate. But all in all, not bad. I give him A minus.
Yeah. So, what do you give the budget? Because as you're looking at it from up above, they didn't make a lot of changes, which isn't unusual. Not too often do you get a lot of changes, but there wasn't even that much debate on it. Even the little points of contention that the Councilor Gitchier was bringing up, or at one point Councilor Robinson brought up.
Small stuff.
It was over small stuff. You're talking about, well, let's eliminate this $80,000. I thought the one area that I want to know more about is that law office spot, right?
The 85,000?
The 85,000.
That one, actually.
What I want to know.
Part-time.
I want to know what that's about. I have a hunch that we're going to get the old, well, this is confidential legal stuff that needs
that's
to
the
be
worst.
discussed. I think that's what I'm going to get.
So for people that
but I will
didn't
ask the manager. So
for people who didn't watch it, which is 99% of you, they went department by department. They got to the law department, and there was a line item for a position. It got a little confusing there, but it was $85,000. Essentially, what is this?
Negotiating expert or something?
Yeah, specialist.
To teach people how to negotiate, or to actually do the negotiating?
I think it was.
I wasn't sure that. My kids were yelling for ice cream at that point.
Yeah, Councilor Gitchier, I think. It's like, what is this? And it was the original answer was very vague from Connor Baldwin. It was to the point where Councilor Scott's like, could you be a little more specific?
Right.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And it's pretty much with all the unions coming up in the city. What was it, 18, 19 unions? They're all coming up. You've got to be negotiated, collectively bargained. And this person was going to help out with that aspect of it. And then it became out that there was $85,000 for the position. It was part-time, which definitely raised everyone's eyebrows. And then they were wondering, is this a brand new person? And then you realize last year they'd spent $25,000 on something similar. So who knows? It was still kind of vague. The law department seemed to need it, but I don't know. There's a case to be made that you're the city. This is your job. Like you've been negotiating contracts forever. Why bring in a specialist? But
they didn't properly explain.
Yeah, I was a bit confused.
I'll say this: if this person can get them some type of concession, if this person really is a specialist, and might be a better negotiator than either Corey Sullivan, who, by the way, had contract negotiations in his background. That's why he, that's why he got the solicitors, the assistant solicitors.
I'm not saying anything, but do you suspect he knows people in the biz?
So, well, that's what I'm thinking. So, look, if this guy comes in, and especially if he's involved in the negotiations with the teachers union, if this guy comes in, he may potentially be able to save you a hell of a lot more than $85,000. Then it's justified.
Yeah, you know what?
That said, there should be some transparency, and we should know what this is for, unless you don't want to piss off Paul Georges ahead of time. We're bringing this guy in just to shoot you down.
Yeah, right.
Or we're bringing this guy in just to deal with the police and fire.
Ronald Reagan Jr., right? Union killer.
So there's a little intrigue here that's needed to be unfurled.
It remained vague, and Gittier was definitely probing, but there's something there.
But overall, the budget, I think, not bad. You've got your typical crankpots out there. We pay too much, right? Even 2.5% increase. They got a 2.5% tax increase. Yes, everything else.
Is that Gilly Mo's voice we just did right there?
Hashtag fire tip. We need to make that hashtag go viral, by the way. But look, folks. So your health insurance costs have gone through the roof, which includes your GIC costs and whatnot. Your pension costs have gone through the roof. Now, you want to join me in creating reforms to bring, because those are the budget busters. 75 to 80% of your budget is payroll related, either weekly wages and salaries or health insurance and retirement/pension benefits. You want to join me in taking a flamethrower to those things? I'll be right there. I'll get in the front lines with you. You want to save? Then we can save $35,000 if we nip tuck here and there, whatever. Yeah. You're not saving the taxpayers. You're doing that for show. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's all for show.
It wasn't bad.
Cut the budget. You want to cut the budget? Let's go. Let's go right at those retirement benefits that let somebody, retire at the age of 55 or 59, go get a second job and, collect off let's go at it. But you better go at it at the state level and the federal level, because Lowell is only following suit from everywhere else.
It has to.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to tax, so let's talk to our state reps and state senators and see if we can get enough communities to join us in that.
So there was a chunk of money that's left over that's for the future raises they allocated. I forget what it was. What do you think that's based on? Are all, when's the teachers union contract? Are they all up at the exact same time? I know they tried to line it up.
The teachers unions are up now. They need to enter negotiations, or else they're going to be...
It seems like they tried to line them where they all come up at once, which is sort of a sneaky good move to use against the teachers union, because they typically put up the biggest fight. You could say, maybe you think you're better than the DP. There really is. And it's not a bad strategy.
If this $85,000 part-time position can save you the money, then all right, no, but you got to sell me on it.
But what if it just comes out and it's like, hey, it's 3% for 3 years across the board, and that's that. Now your $85,000
too much
could have been replaced by me.
I don't think you can afford that.
Yeah,
not with the cost of bennies and stuff.
Throwing a number out there.
You better either
2.5.
You better claw back something on the other end, or
2.5 over 3 years. I don't think that. No.
Did we just piss off your brother Han, by the way?
Oh my God, he's crazy. There's no way teachers are taking less than 3%. They're not. So, hope you budgeted that. From my sources.
All right. Anything else jump out at you on the budget? Anything else you want?
No, I was looking for some good. There's always good, weird, random ones, like who hates who secretly. And I thought we had a couple, but not really.
There was
John Dakota got a little angry. It was
John Dakota apparently does not like the MIS director.
Yes, no, there was definitely some friction there. Again, that's perfect. What you're looking for, and
there was a little friction between Councilor Gittier and
the entire budget.
He actually, again, he didn't pick any major items on the budget, which tells me
I thought he'd be. Crazy is the wrong word. That's what he is. He's a watchdog. But people like that. He got the most votes in the city, so it's not hating on him. I thought he'd go even harder at it. He had his moments, but all in all,
if you hadn't seen his Facebook page where he called out the salary of the CFO,
I don't have any social media.
You would have realized last night that's what the discussion was. A lot of people would be like, "What's he talking about these raises?" Because they never mentioned the specific place.
We should talk about that.
But
That's a big raise.
From
Connor Baldwin?
190 to 220.
It was about a $35,000
Yeah.
raise.
And
That's for Connor Baldwin.
It was the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. He, but there was some discussion, and again, my kids start like chirping in my ears, and I don't want to be a horrible father. I just want to be a bad one, not a horrible one. So I paid some attention to them.
10.
But there was a part where they were talking about, well, that was already last year, that raise kicked in last year.
Totally confused me.
So the 35 is covering part of last year and next year, whatever. I completely missed that. Again, this is an answer I'm getting
watched
from the
it
manager
and
tomorrow.
I missed it because it seemed like I heard both. I thought I heard Tom Golden say it needs to be voted on, and I heard another one say it's already in there. But essentially what it came down to is the city manager can give that raise, and there's nothing you can essentially do about it.
Which apparently was kind of bargained away by when they agreed to certain changes.
So that's why
steps and whatnot.
It seemed like it was two separate things, but it was. He gives that raise. The council has, gives the money for the budget, but besides that, they've got nothing to do with it.
And again, it seems like a lot of money, right? $225,000 for a CFO. Yet
Is he underpaid? Is he overpaid?
Well, so leave it to your Power Hour partner Batch.
Oh, really?
So
what is going to happen right now?
He went on Councilor Gitschier's Facebook page as everybody was chirping, they're robbing us, they should all be fired, blah, blah, blah. You know the typical reaction from Lowell and everybody else, right? Yep. And Batch instituted a little, I thought, sanity that I never thought of before. He said, You're
talking about the same guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike Vatchagaluppo, Batch. Power Hour co-host of yours.
Handsome.
The Tinder dating show with Lindsay Kay and friends, beers with Batch, all the different
hardest working man in Lowell
podcasting. That's right. He said, a CFO of a $500 million corporation. He's calling Lowell a $500 million corporation. By the way, closer to $600 million now.
Selling us short.
$225,000 is not a lot of money, which was a legitimate point. And then I had a follow up with him about that, and you stepped into the lion's den going on Councilor Gitschier's Facebook page.
Brave of him right there.
But he said, hey, listen, he goes, there are small town managers making a lot more than that, okay? And they are. There are school superintendents making a lot more than that.
Definitely.
The VOC is one building. Look at some of the salaries out there at the VOC, right? I mean, their superintendent's been getting paid as much, if not more, than the Lowell superintendent. You're talking what, 1,400 kids versus 14,000?
No, fair point.
So when you look at it that way, is Connor Baldwin overpaid? He's been here how many years now? Bernie Lynch appointed him, so we're going back, not as CFO, but Bernie Lynch gave him his first job.
He was a kid then.
So we're going back to...
He's still kind of a young guy.
So we're going back to 2011, 2012. He then CFO under Kevin Murphy with some help from Bob Healy, who was the god of budgets, especially. It's amazing.
He was until he wasn't.
Bob Healy, was the god of professional managers until he came to work for Kevin Murphy. Then he didn't know how to put a budget together.
Left in Lowell.
Right, exactly.
They loved him and then they hated him.
Oh, he was the ideal that they put on, and then he went and worked for Kevin Murphy and had a close relationship with him, and suddenly he became a good old boy. But so Connor's been around for 12 years. Hey, what did he start at? 100, 150?
I bet
160?
Less. I don't know. No, 2011. I bet it's less.
But now after 10 years, teachers started at, I remember an era where teachers made 40,000 and now make 80. I mean, it's a good point. Look, again, you want to join me in reining all this back in across the board, not just for Lowell's specific position, but let's do it across the board. I'm with you. Nobody has the cojones to do that, though. They want to just kind of trim around the edges.
Yeah.
And
how much?
Look, Connor, maybe with this salary, we ensure that Connor Baldwin sticks around and you actually have some continuity.
You just answered my question before I asked it. How much does the town manager in Drake make?
I would guess between 175 and 200,000. There's an opening there.
So is that locking him in here?
Connor, the Tewksbury one is the one that I'd be looking at, although you got to wait 2 years for that because Rich Montori's working his last day in January of 25 and collecting until October of 25. So you want to talk about I mean, that's the job I'd be looking at if I were Connor Baldwin, but the Bill Ricca job apparently is available as well.
How long's Tom Golden been city manager?
Actually, he's on 2022, 2 years.
There's always hope.
2 years last
There's
month.
always hope that you get someone that's good and they stick around for 15, 20 years, right?
Never going to happen.
That's the old
Tom
days.
Golden ain't
That's
sticking
gone.
around. You know, he actually, you know what? He may get a second deal. He may get another 2 years tacked on.
Typically, the life is about
4 or 5 years.
three or 4 years.
Yeah.
All right. Essentially.
Right.
Yeah, I think.
So you have a CFO that takes you from Bernie Lynch, Kevin Murphy transition in 2014
Yep.
through Eileen Donahue, through Tom Golden, through the next person. You've got some continuity. Is that a bad thing?
It's a good thing.
So there you go, Connor. We just justified your $35,000
it's just like the trash thing.
Drinks on you next
It's
time.
just like the trash thing. It's justified, but it's all at once. It just sticks out.
It does.
If it had gone incrementally over years, you wouldn't even noticed it. You wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. No, the other interesting thing, the John Dakota battle was interesting, just because you could tell when people have a little attitude towards each other. That was interesting. Corey Robinson for the DPW. So that's a new position they're bringing up. It's pretty much the deputy.
Yeah.
Wait, what would it be?
Yeah, they were creating a deputy to
like a number 2, essentially.
Yeah, the
right?
number 2. Yep.
And I believe, Corey Robinson brought a motion to kill that funding, whatever it was, 85,000. And then they had the discussion, and the boss was there, and he gave the reasons why and everything else. And I think he seemed to be the most respected guy in the room last night of all the department heads. I mean, you didn't hear the fire chief at all. Right. You didn't hear but for the people that had to.
Actually, before bringing up the motion to cut the position,
I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Councilor Robinson praised Paul St. Cyr and the work that he's doing. Then he suggested we cut his
then he said, cut
position, but he wanted to hear him.
And then they had the debate, and then they voted on the motion to cut the funding that Corey Robinson put forth. And Corey voted against it.
But isn't that how it's supposed to work?
Yes.
Look, you come into it,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think we should have this position. Then somebody gives you a good reason why you should have the position.
Yeah.
I actually applaud him for that.
I do too, but it's weird. It happens in real time. Like maybe you could have done that the day before or 2 days before. I'm not hating on it. It was just, you look at the things that were it wasn't a very interesting night, so I'm digging deep here.
It wasn't. As far as budget nights go, it could have been a lot better. I was expecting a few more fireworks, but always fireworks when Asa Stutz is in the podcast studio. Your premiere appearance, your debut appearance on my Big Fat Lowell podcast, a look at the world through a Lowell lens.
We did our best to bring it all back home here.
All right, let me know the next time you have a day off. We'll come in and record another one.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you to our guest, Asa Stutz. Thank you for joining us here on Inside Lowell. It's like we like to say, Inside Lowell. If Lowell is your home, this is your place. Till next time, be safe, everybody.